Starting. Hey everybody, happy Saturday and welcome to the second round of live coaching. I love it. I really do love it, you guys. I was thinking about group coaching, and when I started the parts of my business that actually started working, it was in group coaching. So a lot of people have their transformation from one-on-one coaching, and while one-on-one coaching has been super powerful for me, group coaching is where I have transformed the deepest. That's where I made all my money, really, was in a consistent having a group coaching environment, seeing other people's minds, having the experience of hearing that they have the same thoughts as I do. And I know that Jeanette mentioned yesterday that gave her such relief. And it's true, that gave me the same kind of relief. Like, wait a minute, everything I'm experiencing is normal. And that's a huge part of this work, you guys, is realizing that what is happening in your head is all normal. It's all a part of the process, and that there's a way of processing it. And that's what we're learning as we go through this journey. We're just learning how to process our mind in a newer way, in a way we have never done before. And my favorite part of that is it doesn't matter where you're at in the journey, right? We are still using the exact same tool of learning to process our minds. So today, there's a couple things I want to hit on, but I want you guys to be thinking, what do you want to be coached on, okay? And if anybody wants to be coached on time, I know that will be something that helps other people as well. But whatever it is you want to be coached on. So there's a couple of things. One, when you're doing your daily work, I want you to do two things, right? I want you to check in with the future feeling thoughts. And I want to make sure that you're going deep and you're feeling them. Now, it could be when I'm reading them that you're just putting like the snapshot. But I want to make sure that when you're writing these, this you in the future, that you're really going there, that you're really like feeling it in your body, and that you're spending, oh man, I would say like at least 3 minutes, right? I want you to think about, right? Like if we just did like 5 sentences, that's going to be like a half a minute, right? I want you to be in that energy for a couple of minutes. And the reason is because it's this shaping of your energy that's going to take you into the rest of your day. This is what you're practicing doing. And it's coming from a place of like, I don't fully believe, to I'm shaping my mind to learn to believe. And learning to create the feeling is the work. So don't skip over that. The other thing is, when you're doing your future focused thoughts, make sure that they're as if it's done. One of the things I keep seeing you guys do, a couple of you, is it's like, well, since I did this, now I finally believe. And we want to be really careful with that, because before we can create any result, we have to believe. And then we get evidence and we get to like strengthen that belief. Like, believing is a little bit easier, but it's before you have evidence that you will have the most time that you are learning to believe without evidence. And then you're going to have to keep growing without evidence. You'll always have some evidence that you can reference, but there's always going to be something new that you're going to do that you don't have evidence for, okay? So you want to make sure when you're in that future self, you're not like, well, since I did this, or if I can do this, I can do anything, or I can do this next level. And it's like, when you're in that space and it's done, you're going to be like, oh, of course I did this. Of course I did this, right? Like everything, like I learned how to do this. I learned what didn't work. I learned what did work. Of course this finally worked, right? Let's see, Molly says, I love that. I'm not the only one going through the doubts and learning. Yes, it's so powerful, because it doesn't matter what stage you're at. And I think for me, when I found my coach, Stacy, that was one of the things I really liked about her, is that she was very scattered and kind of like messy. And I thought to myself, and she had a lot of drama. And I thought, if she can do this, right? Because in the coaching world, what we see are people who are just always putting the face out there that everything's together, everything's perfect. Like, I'm this high and mighty expert and listen to me. And when I saw Stacy, I was like, wait a minute. She's making a lot of money and she's also kind of doesn't have it together. And that appealed to me. And what's really cool is that now I'm watching her grow into the next level of herself as she pulls those things together. And I'm like, ooh, right? Because I was attracted to her because I was so rigid. Like I was so rigid, whatever that word is. I thought everything had to be done a certain way. I thought there was a right way to do it. I thought if you didn't do it that way, then like, what's the point? Like I was so stuck in there's a right way to do it. And some of you may be paralyzed by this as well. And it's not going to happen like that, right? Like you have to keep learning that there's not a right way. It's something you're going to keep believing over and over. And I don't remember where I was going with that. But I guess seeing her that it was possible. And I'm like, yeah, it's totally possible. And now as I've like let go of that, and then now I'm shifting into, oh, I can have more structure. Because you guys, I made 6 figures last year, but it took me more time because I indulged in more mind drama, because my belief was up and down, because, right, like my systems and my processes weren't like cleaned up. Now, not that they're going to be super cleaned up this year to make multiple 6 figures, but my mind will be cleaner. So I think one of the cool and encouraging things is your mind doesn't have to be super clean. Your belief does not always have to be super high in order to create 6 figures. But there are tweaks that you have to make in your mind as you're going. Let's see. Molly says, I totally do want to be coached on the feelings of there not being enough time or energy, figuring out how to create value that isn't overcomplicated and doesn't have to feel exhausting. Yes. So let's do it. Before we jump into that, so one more thing I want to tell you guys is some of you have already been reaching out like, hey, what's next? Because this is a 5-day training to get you started on this group. I have a group coaching environment that we are going to be starting the 1st of March. And so if it's on your mind that you want to keep doing this work in a deeper level with more support, I'm going to be offering a 6-month group coaching environment. So I'm going to send out the details for that, but keep your ears open for it because this is going to be a chance. This is what we're doing. It's this type of work. It's going to be weekly Zoom coaching. It's 15 people, so none of this 60 people stuff. And coaching in the group, we're specifically focusing on how do we train our brain to make money? How do we specifically focus it in? And some of you have support and things you're doing in other areas. Even if you have a one-on-one coach, my one-on-one clients, I'm encouraging to come in and do this too, because the power of both of it is explosive. Let's see, Cheryl says, oh my gosh, this is something that I do. My brain keeps believing there's only a right way to do it. I know. And the thing is you can logically know, like, oh, there's no right way, but you have to keep finding the ways your brain believes it and then like tweaking it back, right? Because I mean, the thing is it's not a thing of like, oh, I believe it, oh, but I know it's not true. It's, no, I believe it, and I'm learning not to believe it. I'm learning to find the ways that it's not true. I'm learning to believe that it's also possible to do something else. Because sometimes we're really harsh with ourselves. We're like, yeah, but I know it's not. And it's like, we're learning, even in this work, you guys, to be gentle, to not just like stick a thought in a model and come out with like, you know, how do I overcome my objection? I do it with this and this and this and this thought. It's comforting yourself from a place of like, you know, like Veronica, one of her posts she put in there was, you know, I'm afraid of disappointing people, right? And so the way that we comfort ourselves with those kinds of things is, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm probably going to disappoint somebody. Somebody is likely going to feel the feeling of disappointment in their body, but it's not going to be because of me. It's going to be because of their thoughts about me, about the situation, about their life, about their business, about the expectations, about what they hoped was true faster, right? And so we all have to come to that own place of like, can I feel disappointed? Will I be okay? Can I still deeply and completely love and accept myself? Will I be able to feel disappointment and keep going? And this is the deep work, you guys. This is the part where it gets really fun. So, okay, so let's coach. So Molly said, you want to be coached on time? Let's do it. Can you have your video on?
Heck yeah. It might be dark, but hi.
Hello. So you guys, when she talks, can you see her or is it still just me?
Hello. You see me?
I can hear you. I can see you. But I want to make sure, like from the other people, which one of us pops up when you're talking.
Right.
So when you talk, Molly, do you see yourself pop up as the main person?
I still just see you. I'm like in a little corner of the screen. And can you hear me okay? I have headphones in.
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I canceled the spotlight one. Not sure what that was doing,
Okay.
but okay, so yeah.
Test.
It's me. There we go. Okay, so I changed the video setting. Now can you see when you talk?
Do you see me? Okay. Great.
Okay.
I should have done makeup.
You look great. Okay, so Molly, what's coming up for you?
So even last night, I wanted to do my daily work and I just caught this feeling of emotion, and it's very physical, like where my brain wants to be like, no, you're just exhausted. But I also know like I have a full-time job. I have a toddler. Like I'm going to create my six-figure business. I'm going to have to figure out how to get through this exhaustion and create that kind of value that we were chatting about yesterday in your group.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about tell me more of the circumstance. So you'd been working all day, you have your kids, you're like, well, I need to do this work, and then your brain's like, yeah, but I'm so tired. Is that what's coming out?
It's almost like I can pull the all-nighter. I can do the burst to like, you know what I mean? Like make a landing page or, you know, put together a video. It's then that like the supporting it, like the more like the long term. So like when I think about what you did, like, so you set up this, this 5-day program, it's me thinking like, okay, I could pitch something like that, or I could set something like that up. But then doing the 5 days, I instantly feel like, oh, does that make sense?
It does. But tell me more, because now I feel confused. Is this your thoughts about your daily work or about you like creating value to serve more people?
I think it's basically anytime that it's like more than just that short burst of energy, right? So I'm like,
Okay.
yes, I totally want to do this. And now it's day 3 and doing the work or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but I'm so tired. And same with like, if I were to launch something and then need to support a community or a person, and then I'm like, oh, I'm just so tired. Like it doesn't feel sustainable. I can do the bursts. Is that better?
Okay.
More clear?
So when you have these bursts, I want you to think back to the last burst you had. What,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think, right? Like in order to do a burst of energy, everybody, right? Like you have to have a
Mm-hmm.
fire inside of you that just like lights. What lit that
Mm-hmm.
fire for you? Do you remember?
That's so good. I think it's like hope. Like, okay, like I'm creating possibility and potential right now.
Okay. What else? So I want you to think about what was the very last thing that you had this spark with. Tell me more detail.
Like even just the first night doing the work, like, I printed out your workbook and I was like, okay, I need to do my pre-work. And I was so tired, but I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I want to make money with my mind. Like, I know that's my block. And yeah, it was just that like the possibility, the potential where I was like, okay, like I'm going to do this. And then it was, like I said, it was last night, day 3, where my brain was like, but you're so tired.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is day 1, you felt determined,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you were creating that with a thought like, I know this is the missing link,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
what's happening is that you're like the bigger picture of what I hear you saying is you're feeling out of control of creating that feeling when you need it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it just happens, but
Yeah.
you're still not feeling like you're creating the feeling you need to get your work done.
Yeah. It's a different, like, there's still a level of like, I feel that determination under like as an undercurrent, but like the feeling of exhaustion is stronger. And then that feels really defeating.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, I need to shift
So
that. And I know it's all within my own brain, but I need some coach me up on that.
sure. I mean, here's the thing, guys. We always, like, unless we don't know yet, right? Like, we know it's in our minds, but we're still on the gradient of learning for it to be like ingrained. So, I guess I want to talk to you a little bit more
Mhm.
about this because I know yesterday I was experiencing something similar where it's like I was exhausted, right? So, there are going to be times, you guys, when we have to create the motivation, and there's other times that we have to take care of ourselves. And there's seeing that balance between like,
Mm.
where are we actually caring for our body. So I'm going to give you the example yesterday for me. So I wake up on Friday mornings at 5 a.m. because I have an international call. And so I get ready for that and I make sure I can get my kids ready. And so Fridays, every single Friday, I feel very tired. And I'm like, oh, I
Mm.
want to work my business. And then what my brain tells me about that is, oh, well, you're just so tired and you just don't have any energy. And you must not be believing in your business because you're tired and you just feel blah and something must be wrong, right? And the way our brains work is it's never super obvious. It's like a sneaky like whisper. And so
Mm-hmm.
as I was going through my day, I was like, you know what? Like, what if I just took a nap? Now, not for like 3 hours, but like, what if I took a nap for 45 minutes? And then, so I did take a nap. And when I found myself, this actually happened the other day too, where it's like, it would have been easy to stay in bed and say, oh, I need more rest. But instead I was like, no, this is exactly like, it's okay to give myself that time. And now it's time to create that energy again. Right. So for you, do you really do you need to rest or
Mm.
do you need to work? Like which one do you need?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's like been something I'm really working with myself on is I just like when it's time to get crap done, I totally cut out even the tiny bits of self-care. Like, I mean, this is going to sound so gross, but like I will skip a shower because I'm like, I've got to get, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I do. I totally, I need to give myself those little 15, 20-minute bits of space. That's really good. And I'm sorry that I just told you guys that I skip a shower.
It's okay. It's okay. But here's the thing, right? Like, what is your belief about the shower, right? Like, you're like, oh, I shouldn't take a shower because what?
Because I need to get this stuff done. And
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that like, that's a very short term way to think about it. Like the long term is like, give yourself some time to take care. Thank you, Lila. I need to like take some time to like that little bit of recharge and a little bit of self-care is the much better long-term thought. I know that.
It's not long term though. Here's what's
Mm.
super fun, you guys, is that last year, this is one of the things I learned. I also thought that self-care was like, I don't know, frivolous. Like, what are you guys talking about? That's ridiculous. And not that I'm like doing self-care all the time, but when you give yourself that 15 minutes even to recharge, and this could be you guys like feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been cooped up in the house all day. I feel like nothing is working. Everything feels terrible. It's like catching that and saying, okay, wait, if this is how I'm feeling, I need to check out in
Mm.
order to be more productive, right? This isn't a long-term game. This will help you in that moment on that day. And this could be like going outside and walking on the ground with your feet, right? Like letting those like ions recharge you. It's gonna suck a little if there's snow on the ground, but you know, you're gonna pep up, let me tell you.
Yeah, this endless winter has definitely helped or hurt my recharge walks, but that's so true. Like you can still make it happen. 5 minutes in the freezing cold snow, that wakes you up.
By the way, I'm not doing that myself, but if you guys want terrible advice. Of course, now that I say it, I'm like, I should try that. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, right, like it's seeing Molly that it's like when I turn my brain off, because I mean, for everybody, we have to turn our brains off. Now, this is an art in and of itself. Some of my clients, their brains just are like, and in order to grow the business you want, in order to create the peaceful, calm space you need, you have to also create an art of like, oh, I'm feeling really anxious in my body because my mind is spinning like crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
time to just turn it off and rest my body, right? Because when you turn your brain off, when you're like, I'm actually not going to think about those things, you immediately have a new peace and calm in your body.
Yeah.
My brain is so hard to shut off. That's not true, right? That's like saying it's so hard for me to vacuum the house. It's so hard. No, you just haven't like mastered the art of it, right? Like there is a art, just like feeling our feelings. I used to not feel feelings. The feeling I felt was numb. And I didn't know it,
Mm.
but I just didn't feel anything. And so I told myself the same thing. Like I remember my coach did a training on like how to get out of your head and into your heart. And I was like, that's the most ridiculous title I've ever heard in my whole life. Because I didn't get it. I didn't get that there was an element to feeling. I was like, that's weird. And the thing is that the feeling, even with Brooke, she doesn't really talk about the power of feeling each of your thoughts because this is what creates that strong tie to it, right? So
And
Molly,
I love how you model that. Just so you know, that's taught me so much because like my feelings are my superpower, you know? And so, yeah, I really like how you show us like take a deep breath and check in with your body.
yeah, I know. I loved it when you guys were all like, my head wanted to do this, but then I did a body check and I was just like, what? You guys are the best. I love it. Right. So let's look at Molly. Like if feelings are your superpower. So maybe for you, because, and this is going to be anybody with a time issue, right? Like we really don't have to do that many things to grow a business. We have to connect with people. We have to tell them what we do. We have to make offers, right? Now, our
Mm-hmm.
brain is going to tell us, and you're going to see this in your objections. Well, I need a website, I need a newsletter, and I need a funnel, and I need Facebook ads, and I need to be in Facebook groups for like 12 hours a day because what if I miss something? No, right? So part of this too can be like deciding ahead of time for the week, what are the essentials I need to do, especially if you're working full time, right? So for
And
you,
here's the crazy thing. I have all of those, Elizabeth, and I still feel this way. Like
yeah.
I still feel like, what am I gonna do? Yeah, and what am I gonna do that's not gonna exhaust me?
Ooh, okay. So tell me more about this. What am I going to do that's not going to exhaust me? So you have a plan, you have things you need to be doing, you know to cut other things out, at least logically.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what's happening in your body. Like, are you feeling exhausted because you're actually doing a lot of stuff? Are you feeling exhausted because your brain is wearing you out?
Well, both. Right now I'm doing a lot of like, okay, so I'm sending the newsletter. I'm trying to show up for my coaching and things like that. I am not, well, I may have just made my first sale. We'll see if she pays her invoice. But it's like it's that what you were talking about, like the belief before evidence.
Mm.
That's the hard part. Like I I truly thought I would make sales way sooner. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I thought I've been doing this for like, I launched my funnel in 2 months, 2 months ago. It was December 27th. And I've been doing consults like crazy and I have not closed those sales. And I really thought that I would because I'm just your general overachiever. Like, yeah, if anyone can do this, I can do this. Like so much, it was like good arrogance. It was like, I believe in myself. But then over and over and over again, I got that I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. And I'm going to cry. Like it drains me. It's so draining. And then I'm like, what's wrong with me? This is exhausting. And sorry guys.
Oh, you're okay.
And it's just hard to keep believing. I mean, I choose to, but it's like, I liked what you said earlier, like learning to be gentle with yourself because I'm kind of like being ruthless with my models. Like, you're not going to give up. Gosh darn it. You know what I mean? There's not that gentleness for sure. And it's just super taxing. And I want to get to this place where I'm like, I'm okay with all of it. I'm okay with the no's. I'm okay with it taking longer. I just want to be there,
Yeah.
but I also want to be creating results.
Yeah. And why aren't you where you want to be?
Well, my brain says it's because I'm doing something wrong. I'm not good at sales. I mean, and that's why I loved what you said. Like, I don't have to be good at sales. I just have to show up as myself, so I'm definitely working on that thought. You gave me, your podcast had a really cool idea of like making lists to reinforce the belief. So I'm like, why I'm an amazing coach, why, people want what I have. Like, so those lists have helped. So maybe it is working and I just keep making the lists and I'll get there. But the feeling of exhaustion is still there. When I talk about the lists, it kind of goes away though. Like, as I'm saying that, I'm like, no, I'll just keep doing that. It's going to work out. But then when I think about, I think this is it. When I think about putting a new offer out there, you know what I mean? Like sending something to my email list, like, hey guys, I really want to work with you or something like that. It's then that fresh round of rejection, I think feels super draining.
Yeah. So here's what's happened, and it happens with everybody, you guys. And it's that the longer you hold the belief, and then people tell you no, and they tell you things, and you start to believe them. And what's happened, Molly, is that they have models that they're living inside of. They're having thoughts, they're having feelings that are creating their actions and results. And you have been making their models mean something about you.
Mm.
Right? And so now, of course, you're gun shy about putting an offer out there because you feel like this isn't actually true, but this is what your brain has told you the story of is like, oh my gosh, somebody else is going to reject me again. It's not going to work, right? Like people don't want this, people don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or, well, what I really think is like, if I was a better coach, I could help them overcome their objections. I could help them see those models.
yeah.
That's the thought that's like kicking my butt.
Okay. It's a fun one. So if I were a better coach, I would what?
Be able to help them see their mind, overcome their objections, or overcome their defeating models, whatever we want to call it.
We'll just go with see their mind. Okay. And so right now you like want to find clients. The circumstance are just clients in your business. The current thought is if I were a better coach, I'd be able to help them see their mind. How does this not feel for you?
Not empowering, like the opposite, whatever the word that is the opposite of empowering.
Yeah. Maybe like try this one on, see how this feels in your body. Despair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The deep thinking, like, what's the point? Everything's terrible. Right? Okay. So you feel the despair of this thought. How often? I want you to just think in percentages about, man, it might be this thought, it might be something around this thought, but how much time are you spending in a day? What percentage of your day are you spending in a negative energy with this kind of like thought?
Well, like, and as you're saying it, like, it also feels, it's more than despair. It feels really like conflicted because like, I wouldn't have put myself out there if I didn't believe I was a good coach. You know what I mean? Like, I want to help people. So yeah, I just feel super like out of alignment, but it keeps getting reinforced by the no's. So, and I'm sorry. So repeat your question again. How often am I spending time here?
How often in your head are you in this place, right? It's some thought like this that creates a negative feeling. What percentage of your day are you there?
I'm trying to think. I would say it's just little blips of anxiety and despair throughout the day. So probably like, let's say like 30% of my day, but really what it is every time I think about my business, right? Because you tune into your corporate job, tune into your toddler, and then right when it comes back to the business, that's when it's closer to probably 90%. Every time I think about my business, then I'm just like,
Perfect.
oh.
That is a better way of thinking about it. So when you tune into your business, 90% of the time, it's with a negative energy that's kind of like fueled by this, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Unfortunately.
Good. No, here's the thing. Part of your thought is if I were able to help them see their mind, I would be a better coach. So the fun part of that is how do you become a better coach? By practicing seeing your mind. Right? I mean, that's the most beautiful news of all. Guys, this is why I'm a great coach. I'm not a certified coach. I haven't been trained by Brooke yet, although I'm going to be trained in April. I'm so excited about that. But I'm not getting trained because I think that going through her training will make me money. I can clearly make money without her training. But what I am going to get from her training is how to be an even better coach, right? And so when you think about like the reason that I've been successful is because I learned how to see my mind and I learned to put the model and ingrain it so deeply in me. So right now you're thinking about your business, you're thinking about clients, you're having a thought like, if I were a better coach, I'd be able to help them see their minds. You're getting evidence for this when people tell you no, right? How many people have told you no?
Like 15.
Okay.
That's a ballpark number, but it's pretty close to that. I could go look up my, you know what I mean? I could look up my calendar, but it's right around there.
Okay. You're like 15 and a half, just approximately. Yeah. Okay. So you feel despair. Now I want you to think in your business, how are you showing up? What are you doing or not doing in this energy of despair? In this like zone of, if I were a better coach, I'd be able to help them see their minds. What are you doing or not doing in your business?
So what I'm doing is I show up to my calls like basically I'm doing my best to bring good energy, but it takes a lot of work. So like I say, it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like a 50-50. Am I able to truly get myself into like service energy where I'm just so excited for potential and possibility? You know what I mean? And then sometimes it's like, that's the mask I'm trying to wear. Like, I'm so excited for potential and possibility, but this person's going to tell me no again. So definitely affects my energy. And what I'm not doing is I'm not, like I said, I'd like to like dabble with some fresh offers, some, you know what I mean? Some, maybe like a little, a way for them to connect with me in a free way.
How do you want to do it though?
That's where I get hung up, because every time I try and dream about that, I'm like, oh, whatever I come up with just sounds exhausting. But that's what I'm not doing though. Like I really want to create something that's like feels sustainable and lets potential clients get to know me and my style a little bit more. And I'm just stopping there because I'm like, it's exhausting.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what's, kind of fun. If I were a better coach, I'd be able to help them see their mind. You feel the despair, you feel the like just negative energy. And then what do you do or not do? You're forcing your energy, right? Like you're trying to be positive when you're really not. You are actually going into things expecting to be told no. Did you hear someone say that? Yeah. You're like, I think I wrote that twice. You're like, it's not just forcing the energy, but it's hard to get into the energy, which isn't always necessarily bad, but it's always going to be harder to get into the energy from super negative, right? It's a lot easier when we live in peaceful calm to then escalate up than to try and swing from despair to, ooh, everything's great, right? So we're learning how to feel and be in a gradient. And then you're not like, you have an idea for something and you're not doing it. You have an idea for a free way for somebody to work with you, but you're not doing it because you feel this way, right? Now, does this still, like when you think this and you're feeling this, let's see, what is this creating? The other thing you're doing here is you're actively believing that you're not a better coach, that you're not a good enough coach, that you can't see their mind. And when you're believing that, you aren't coaching your own mind, right? Because this is so true, why would I bother? Is that true?
Yeah, I see that.
And so then what you're creating with that is you're not becoming a better coach. Not because this is true. You are not becoming a better coach because you thought the thought and felt this feeling in your body. Right?
Yeah.
Does this thought still feel very, very true?
I mean, just like as we're talking through it, like I feel a new sense of hope. Like just seeing it there out of my head is like, oh, like I don't really believe this.
Yeah.
But I also,
but I don't want you to feel hope, you guys. Hope is like a poor man's feeling, right?
Whoa.
Not feel hope. Hope is like,
interesting,
right? Like we want certainty, right? I want you to feel the difference between hope, kind of like wafty and like, oh, maybe it will happen. I mean, I don't know. And then there's certainty. Why is it going to happen? Because I am a badass and I'm going to make sure it happens. Because it's happening is up to me, you guys. Certainty is up to me. And what do people need to feel? Your clients need to feel your certainty that you can help them. If you think about it, right? Like if you're generating hopefulness for yourself, you're probably generating hopefulness for your clients in your future. I hope I can help you. No, nobody wants to give you money for hope. Right? Certainty. Okay, so
I hear you.
Have this. You have this feeling. You're reinforcing it because so here's what our brain does. Our brain finds evidence for things. So what we're teaching it to do. This is going to be part of what we're doing in the group coaching for 6 months, right? Is we're teaching our brain to find evidence for things that we want it to believe. It's already doing this and it's very like subtle. It's in like stealth mode. And so we have to take it out of stealth mode And obviously if it's in stealth mode, it's like little by little, because it's not like they're all completely obvious. But you've been affirming to yourself that if you were a better coach, you would be able to see their mind. And every time somebody tells you no, you're like, see, it's true. So now I want you to say, Molly, like, why are people saying no to you? If it's not because you could be a better coach, or you could have done the consult better, or you should have been able to help them see their mind more, why did they tell you no?
Okay, so I know the answer is it's their model that they've got in their mind, but I feel like you want something more. I feel like there's something more effective there.
Okay, so, but you don't actually know that, right? Like, what you know is the right answer. You know the right answer is it's their model. But you actually think that the reason they're saying no to you is because you're not a good enough coach.
Yeah, I didn't help them see the
tricky
model.
part, guys, right? Like, we know things logically, but we have to give ourselves that grace of like, okay, no, I don't actually know that completely. I just know that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about, like, what are some other reasons? If we know that the only reason you like don't show up in that energy of being the best coach is because you think the thought and feel the despair, what are some like very realistic reasons that these people are saying no to you?
Okay, so I'll tell you the first thing that comes up, but I'm afraid that that's jumping in the pool with them. Like maybe they literally do not have money.
Okay.
So is that jumping in the pool with them?
Sometimes it is, sure. It's possible that some people actually literally don't have money.
They don't believe in
I
themselves.
would say 1 out of 15 people, depending on how your ads are going, maybe 1 out of 15 people will actually be living on welfare. Actually, but I mean, the thing is like anybody who wants it can find the money. Okay. So
Yeah.
why, like, I want you, let me change the way we think about this. Because this marker must be crazy, but let's not make this about them, right? Like, they are obviously saying no for a reason. Why are they, like, what are you doing that's causing them to say no? And this is where we're going to disconnect. Our brain is like, you're just not good enough. So then what happens, guys? I think I did this yesterday. We get in the box. We're in a closed box and there's no way out of it because we aren't good enough. So if them saying no, like if you're good enough, you're a good enough coach for exactly who you're meant to coach. How do we know? Because we're all on a gradient. And this is why we don't all coach every people. The people who are attracted to us when we're here, they're over here, right? So it's never that we aren't a good enough coach. This is why we hire people that are just further along in the way that they think about it. So it's never that we're not a good enough coach, never that we are not good enough as people. So I want you to think about, what did you do? Maybe it was your energy, maybe it was like, great, it could be skill, it could be your own mindset, it could be, how did you create them saying no?
Okay. So yeah, there was more of that hope energy than certainty energy. That was part of it. Until the most recently, I was really weird about my offers. Like they were kind of like really wishy-washy offers. Okay. So I've just now, like, I've been doing mindset work and realizing like, it's okay to say like, I'd totally love to work with you. I wasn't doing that.
Yeah. What else?
And maybe I wasn't, like, it feels uncomfortable sometimes to interrupt them when they're just going on and on and on about how horrible their life is. Like, I don't want to turn them off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make them feel insulted, but I also know we've got to stop this train and I need to be in charge of the conversation.
So you were afraid to coach them.
Is that it? Like, even in the beginning of the call, like just being able to be like, I'm going to stop you there. Is that?
I mean, right? Like, part of this is your certainty in yourself. Now, there are going to be times, guys, like, how do we learn how to, like, to shape a conversation, how to make sure that when we get on a 60-minute consult, that the consult doesn't last 90 minutes because they spent 30 of it talking about themselves? Because we create that certainty in ourselves of how to, like, okay, great, right? Like, so some of it's setting the tone. We're going to take 5 minutes and I want to get to know you. And then we're going to jump into the next part where we're really going to dig in. And so you have to have a certainty in yourself and in your process in order to say, you know what? Oh, I love that we're going into all of this. but I want to make sure we have enough time for the next stage. So
Yep.
maybe it's not like power afraid to coach, but it's more maybe like you were afraid to, what were you afraid to do?
I was afraid to interrupt them. I was afraid to insult them or make them think like I don't care about them.
So you were maybe like more worried about how they felt, or like wanted to be accepted, or
I think it's people pleasing. I think that's it. Like I was afraid, you know what I mean? Like I want you to like me. I want you to see that I'm awesome to work with. So I'm not going to interrupt you.
Yep. Wanted them to like me. This is a fun one. Okay. What else? How did you create 15 people saying no to you? Do you guys see how different this is than living in our box that I'm just not a good enough coach? Our brain is going to give us rejection. It's going to give us a piece of crap. It's going to it's going to spread. It's going to spread into like, well, I don't want to make any offers because everybody's going to tell me no anyways, right? Because it's outside of you. We are taking back your power, Molly. You created 15 people saying no to you. Is there anything else that comes up for you?
It goes back to the hopeful and not certain. So hopeful and not certain that that they won't be disappointed in me. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it. And then it's also hopeful and not certain that my pricing, it's about my pricing, like that I can ask that. That's a lot of work for me, is like charging money for what it's being confident in the value exchange.
Okay. When you say didn't want them to be disappointed, like you were afraid they wouldn't get results?
Maybe I'm trying really hard to tune into that. It's like, I mean, kind of what you were talking about earlier.
But like, when you say like, I don't want them to be disappointed, where is that specific at though?
So I feel like they, if they'll like submit to the coaching and really try it, they will get results. But it's almost like the way that I get them there, like maybe they won't like my approach. Maybe they're like, oh, I don't want to do that homework, or I don't like how so it's something there. I know that there's more clarity I could gain there for sure.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think this is a really good area for you to explore more, because not wanting people to be disappointed, like trusting, because what you're not doing here is trusting yourself. Right? Like not trusting that the people who are drawn to you to get exactly what they're meant to get. Because if you trusted your process, like, of course my process works. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Right? Okay. And then you said the value exchange, like the value for money exchange.
Yeah. So I realized if like when I'm breaking change for somebody, like if someone gives me a 20 and I give them like a 10, a 5 and 5 ones, there's nothing that feels salesy there, right? It was equal value. But I don't have that feeling when I say like, hey, pay me money for coaching.
Okay.
Which is weird because I pay money for coaching.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something there.
What is the thought there? Is it the thought like, this doesn't seem valuable enough for the money I'm asking?
Or maybe they won't see that it's valuable enough for the money that I'm asking. Like, she's not going to believe. She's not going to believe that this is worth X, Y, and Z.
Yes. So do you believe it's worth it? Let's start there.
I totally do. Yes. This like has changed my life for sure.
How much time are you spending believing that?
Well, more and more now that I'm doing my lists.
Good. And you guys, I know Leela just said, thank you, this is helping her. The reason we're going through this is because this is exactly what everybody has, right? So it's like, this is so good. Okay. So like, they might not believe it's worth it. You're believing more and more. Okay. So you guys, like when we look at this and we talk about like, oh, well, what's the work, right? Like you just went from, I might not be a good enough coach, and that's why people keep telling me no, And we feel that like despair
Mm-hmm.
that we can't get out of, because where can you go from that to, okay, wait, I've had 15 people tell me no. Now we could stop here and we could say something like, wait a minute. My brain has only been focused on the fact that 15 people have told me no. But holy guacamole, Molly, 15 people have told you no. You had 15 people who were like, I'm interested in working with this girl. I am going to book a call. I'm going to keep the call. I'm going to show up for the call. I'm going to talk to her for an hour to see if this is what I want. Right? You have phase one mastered. You know how to book calls. 90% of people, that is where they drown and die. They do not know how to get people from here to on the call. Right? But your brain isn't spending any time there.
No, not at all. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we see the things that are actually working? We have to stop and force our brain to see the things that are working. 15 people telling you no is working. It's working so well. But when you think it's not working because you're like spinning in the despair, rather than being excited, like, wait a minute, I have the tools I need to get better at consultations. I know how to do this. Like every consultation I do, right? You guys hear me? I'm not just talking to you right now. I'm telling you thoughts. Every consultation I do gets me better and better. I'm learning process. Every person has the same issues, and I am learning how to help them catch the vision. I'm learning how to inspire people into action, right? This is what we're learning how to do every time you get on a consultation. So then you're having these thoughts, right? Like, so this is how you created, and this is powerful, guys, because when you see how you created something, do you feel like you're in a box anymore?
No, I can totally improve each one of these just through like intention, being aware. Yeah. Oh, this is so good. I'm so grateful. Like I feel spoiled. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you just found the reason. And so when people are like, well, I know it's my thought, and then they stay back in the last thing that we had on the whiteboard and they're like, I know it's that thought. Yeah, it's that thought. And then it's 15 things deeper that gets to the real root of why this is happening. And so the reason you created this is because you were hopeful, not certain. And so your work is to learn how to create the feeling of certainty. This one's going to be huge, you guys. When you learn how to create certainty in your business, in yourself, in your business, and in the results you create for people, and in the fact that they can change, right? Because we can think like, well, what if they don't make a change? And it's like, we have to believe that humans are capable of change. Otherwise, we're going to feel like we're stealing something, right? And so we create that certainty in those areas, and we show up differently. Weird about your offer. Isn't that so fun? Like, of course, if you were weird about your offer, people are going to say no. And it's never one thing, guys. I can't even tell you how many consults I've done where I'm like, I get done and I evaluate and I'm like, that was terrible. And then they reach out and they're like, oh, here's my payment. And I'm like, I have this thought, oh my gosh, people hire me even when I do terrible consults, right? All of these things, you don't actually have to fix all of them in order to sign clients. That's the beauty of all of our work. Our brain tells us, oh my gosh, if I want to invite people over, I have to clean the whole house up here. And it's not true. Okay. And then people pleasing. I wanted them to like me. This is going to be something where you're just like, once you see it, you're like, oh, I caught myself again, wanting them to like me. I didn't want them to be disappointed. So you're trying to control how they're feeling, but you're not believing in your approach. Oh, okay. I just believe in my approach some more. How do I learn to believe in my approach? I think about it more, right? I dwell in the energy of how powerful it is. How do I have this certainty? Because I've done it for myself, because I see it with my clients, because I'm getting better and better at this every time I do it. And value for money exchange, what's interesting is that it's not that you don't believe it's worth it, it's that you're afraid that they don't believe it's worth it. Which means you're believing that the only people in the world that you're going to attract are like people who can't have it. Are you running Facebook ads for people?
Say it again. It cut out right in the middle of your sentence.
Are you running Facebook ads to homeless people?
No, no.
So you're running Facebook ads to people who have internet access, who have a computer or a smartphone,
Mm-hmm.
and right, like they have the possibility for money.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about a time that you invested in yourself and maybe it felt scary, but you did it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is where learning to inspire people, because when you believe that they, like when you just think the thought, here's the fun, this is a thought, they might not believe it's worth it. And then flesh this one out. When I believe that they don't think it's worth it, how do you, like, right? Like that thought is creating something for you. What it's
Mm-hmm.
creating is you showing up expecting it out.
Yep.
Right? And we
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't go to our parents like, oh my gosh, I want to go out for the night. Like, notice the difference, right? We go to our parents, we're asking them permission to go to a party. It's going to be like totally, it's at the pastor's house. But if we're like, oh, right, so they're not going to say no because it's an iffy party. But like, if we go into it like they're probably going to say no to us, they're going to feel that, right? Like, they're going to be like, something is wrong. Versus if we go to our parents and we're like, I'm gonna go to this party and it's gonna be so fun and I'm gonna be home by 10 o'clock and their parents are gonna be there. And right, like they're gonna be like, of course, that sounds totally reasonable, right? Because of the
Mm-hmm.
energy we come into it from.
Yeah.
One of my
That's
favorite.
really good.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last thing, because rather than trying to get somebody else, I'm gonna do one more thing with Molly so that she can see and so everybody can see. I don't know if my marker is just really sticky or my eraser is not. Try a new one. So Molly, let's now look at how do I create the feeling inside of me? So what feeling do you want to create more of for your business?
Certainty.
Good one, I like that. It's a good choice. So you want to feel certain. And we talked about like once we generate and channel certainty into lots of areas of our lives, right? So what are some thoughts you can believe right now about your business to create a feeling of certainty?
I know I know that this coaching creates transformation. I know it's made transformation in my own life. Do you want me to just kind of list stuff off that's coming to my mind?
Yep. Or slower. Because I don't write that fast. Okay, so I know coaching is transformational.
Uh-huh.
My life is changed. What else?
Yeah. I know they have the potential for change.
Yeah. Like if I could do this, anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know something drew them to me.
Yeah. I attracted these people. And why do you attract people?
Me personally, or people in general? Like you kind of explained like how like they saw that I'm a step, you know what I mean? Like I'm a little farther on the gradient than they are. So that's part of it. I mean,
People don't know that logically, right? Like they
mm-hmm.
don't know you're further, like they don't know why they're attracted to you, but they see something in you that they want. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about like these
Yeah.
people were attracted to me, why are they attracted to you, Molly? Not the right answer. I want you to say like, what about you is attracting them?
So I think I have a unique way of looking at things. I have a really visual way of explaining things. I think they like that.
Okay.
I think I'm not afraid of showing that I'm a human.
I always love that.
You know, like admitting to a live call that I don't take showers sometimes. Yeah, and I think that like when I'm able to just be me, like I think I've got awesome energy. I like my energy. So I think that comes across in some of my trainings or my one training.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your stories? What about,
Mm.
right? Like everything about who we are, this is why it's important to be a human. Because when people tell me like that they're attracted to me, I think, oh, one of the people who recently hired me, she was like, you know what? I love that you have children. I
Hmm.
love that you do this work, right? And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. I didn't even know that having children would have like pushed me over in her head. And it makes sense, right? Like the
Mhm.
stories that we have, you know, when somebody like is attracted to me because I'm a marketer or because I was a marketer, right? Like they're attracted to me because of my story. People are attracted to you because of who you are, the stories you tell, the way you are being in this world. So
Mhm.
our brain can tell us like, wow, you're not like so and so. Like I saw somebody's branding the other day in my life in my like my news feed, and I was like, oh, that's really good. And I was like, right, like it triggered my brain to feel terrible about me. And I'm like, what does their branding have to do with me? I can have good branding, right? And it's like our brain is always like trying to find a way where we aren't good enough. And we have to check it like, wait a minute, I attracted these people because of the visual way I explain things, because I am a human, because I do have great energy when I let myself, and because of my story and who I am, right? And what
Mhm.
else can you think to create this certainty? How about with those 15 consults you've booked? What kind of certainty can you create around your business with that?
So like my system's working. I'm getting people to see me. I'm getting people interested.
Yeah. Have you thought that thought before right now?
Only with like a super forceful way. Like you will believe this.
Do you feel it differently now?
I totally do. Just you talking through like, hey, 15 people like went through the booking process. I'm like, oh yeah, they totally did.
So
Yeah.
I want you to think about like what is a different energy, like what a different energy to think. Because some people don't have a system yet, you guys. And you're like sitting in this place where you're like, I have a system and it's working. Right? Like what's another thought from that? Like people want to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know? Right? Here's what I'm doing in my brain, you guys. I'm not just thinking a thought, people want to work with me. Here's how I'm feeling it even deeper is then for her, I'm picturing how do I know 15 people want to work with me? Because 15 people booked a call. I am creating the energy where people are interested,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People want to work with me. Now your brain's gonna be like, but you're not a good, right? And you're gonna be like, no, I've thought you before. But not because I'm not a good enough coach. It's because I showed up in a weird energy when I was making offers. It's
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to people please, right? Like your brain's going to take you back through this loop. Expect it. Until you break the loop, you're going to keep being in the loop and you're going to have to keep reminding it. Oh, people want to work with me.
Mm-hmm. Or at least like I know that that thought feels a little stretchy for me, but I do believe like people want what I'm offering. Like, you know what I mean? Like they saw in my training, you know what I mean? Like they saw, sorry, I dropped my phone. They saw whatever that is that I put off in my training, they wanted that enough to book a call. So I don't know if that's working with me or but finding out more about what I've got.
Yeah. But I want
I,
you to think
I
about
can.
this. Anytime somebody books a call, like they're booking a call to find out more about working with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
it's possible that something went awry. Like if your energy isn't right because you're thinking they're going to tell you no, that could be the one thing you tweak is believing that they're going to say yes, right? Like of
Mm-hmm.
course they would say yes to me. They should say yes to me because working with me is going to change their life. You guys, the deeper you can find the belief in that, the stronger of a coach you will be and the stronger you will close people on consults. Because when
Yeah.
I think about like group coaching, it's like, I don't care what you have to do to find the money, right? Like, it's going to change your life. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one coaching. Like, when you work with me, because I've done this, because I know what to expect, your life is going to be changed. And in order to create that certainty inside of yourself, I used to have doubt, you guys. I used to be like, oh, but I don't know if what if my process doesn't work, right? I had to build up to this certainty in my mind. And because I have that certainty now, right? Like before I was practicing the certainty. And now I would say like of every 100 times I believe it, my brain is like, what? Like 10 times, 5 times, right? And so you're going to get to the point where you're learning to believe like my work is life changing. And then you couple it with thoughts like, right? Like I think about a coach I hired 2 years ago. It was a group coaching program, and she ended up closing it down. She did it for like 2 months, and then she was like, oh, this really isn't right for me. I don't want to do this anymore. And right, like I could have thought like, oh, I didn't get anything out of that. I spent a couple $100s. It was like, what was the point? No, like I'm like, no, that was a part of my journey that taught me how to invest in myself. That I actually met people. I met Eleanor, and Eleanor told me, these were her words, you have to listen to Brooke Castillo's podcast. Start at episode 1. I went and listened to Brooke Castillo's podcast, and my life was literally never the same. Was it because I listened to Brooke Castillo's podcast, or was it because I invested in a program and I met a woman who said these exact words to me? And then 1 year later, the same woman came back to me after doing this work and said, you seem to have something I don't have. Teach me your magical ways. Oh. And then she did this mindset work and is now making $10,000 a month when she was making $500 a month, right? Like this just went like full circle. We never know, right? Like we can't be stuck in a place where it's like, it's my job to get my clients from A to Z. It's not. We don't know the process we are meant to go through with somebody. And part of that is thinking about that. Like I am here to serve them, but it's up to them to see how far in the alphabet they go. Let's see.
I love that.
Cheryl says, how can we stop ourselves from trying to people please? I notice this sneaks in sometimes. I think noticing the people pleasing is the first step to that, right? Like if we don't know where we're people pleasing, and I think it can like one of the fun things about mindset is you make it a game. And so you start out your day, and so you could even flush out like, what does people pleasing look like for me? Like, how do I know when I'm people pleasing? And when it comes to lists, right? Like, don't do this in your head. Write it on paper and find out, like, what does people pleasing look like? So I want you guys to just throw it out, right? Like, if you're people pleasing, what does that look like for you? Anybody? If you're people pleasing, what's that look like? Are you asking in personal life or business? Because I do it in both. So here's what's fun, guys, is it doesn't matter where you do this work in, because all we're doing is shaping your mind. And once we shape your mind, it will apply to everything. So if you people please in your personal life, you aren't going to just magically turn it off and then not do it in your business. You're magically turning it off for your life. So every area. Do everything for someone else. For me, it's being agreeable, too agreeable, but forgetting yourself. Yeah, right? So you're being too agreeable. Now you dig into this. What does it mean when I'm being too agreeable? What do I do? What do I not do? And then you have to dig in one level deeper. Danielle, why am I being too agreeable? Why am I doing those things I don't want to do? Because there is a reason that you're doing it. There is a feeling you are getting or not experiencing by doing this, right? So dig into that. Like, what is the feeling you're trying to avoid by being so agreeable, Danielle? Lisa says, I didn't have good boundaries. Yeah, and what's fun, Lila, is that boundaries are inside of us. Boundaries aren't like some hard thing to keep people away. They're just certainty inside of ourselves about what we do and don't expect, and what we do when that happens. Brooke has a great podcast on boundaries. And when I heard it, I was like, that makes so much sense. Like boundaries are like, we always go to the extreme, but my child cussed at me. What's my boundary? Like, oh, nobody speaks to me like that. No, like I don't have to tell them my boundary. My boundary is when they speak to me like that, I leave the room. That's my boundary. I take good care of myself. She also says I don't prioritize myself. Lila says I've been seeking validation. I was trying to avoid disappointing the client. Yeah. Daniel says, yeah. You guys, so this is the thing, like, don't just say I'm a people pleaser. Dig into what that looks like. Go deep like we did here, right? You don't want to like, okay, what does people pleasing look like for me? That way, when you do it, you can catch yourself. Wait a minute. How, like, and you could do this every single day. You could just say, you know what, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. I know I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to be a people pleaser. So how do I stop doing it? I identify what people pleasing looks like. And then I identify, what am I getting from this? You guys, you are all getting something from people pleasing. We all are, right? Like we don't, as a human being, we don't do anything that doesn't give us something in return. It's just how we are. So you're either getting to feel something or you're avoiding feeling something by doing it. And then you find out, well, what is that emotion? Take it down to an emotion. What's the emotion I get to feel or don't have to feel? And then your work, in order to just deeply stop being a people pleaser, is to learn how to feel that feeling. Cheryl says definitely some avoidance. Yeah, but avoidance is avoiding feeling a feeling. What's the feeling that your body wants to feel? And sometimes what's fun, guys, is to like Google like the feeling chart and just read through the feelings and think about, when you people please, which of these feelings am I trying not to feel? Because when there's a disconnect, I mean, reading that feeling chart, because when I first started feeling, I was like, there's good and there's bad. Come on, what else is there? And then I read the chart and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of feelings. And now when I just read the feeling, I can feel the feeling. I'm like, oh yeah. And so sometimes when we read the feeling out loud, it will trigger a thought in our mind like that one. Let's see, so Danielle says it could be feeling accepted. So you want to feel accepted. And so what's fun, Danielle, is that when you want to feel accepted, and this is just like the validation thing that Leela said, these are all, here's what's fun, these are all things that I've found for myself, right? And it's like the only person you need to learn to accept first is yourself. And so your work is accepting yourself. And this is where the comforting comes in, you guys. Our brains, I want you to stop for a minute and then we'll wrap this up. But when we just like breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, we tell ourselves, I deeply and completely love and accept you. And we feel it, right? And we go slow with it. Our bodies actually kind of release a little. Do you feel that? And it's because there is a fear inside of us that others won't accept us. And that fear ends up snowballing inside of our subconscious that we don't accept us. And the more we learn to accept us, the more we learn to accept ourselves, the stronger we then go out into this world and can accept others. I have a really wonderful thought that I have, which is they're just doing the best they can. And when I give that grace to other people, I learn how to give it to myself, right? When I'm peaceful and calm with other people, I learn to be that way with others. When I'm gentle with others, everything that we put out into the world is only a reflection of what we do for ourselves. So one of the things that I've been working on is my judgmentalness, super judgmental, right? Like my brain's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, but you know what? It's only a reflection of how harshly I judge myself, right? The acceptance, it's a super cool thing. I've been actually like looking at this in terms of the Bible, where like God's like, the number one thing is you have to learn to love people. And then I'm in church and I'm like, we had this service on racism. And I mean, like, that's fine, but I'm just like, you guys are missing the point. It's not about don't be a racist. It's about learn how to love, learn how to feel love in your body, even for people you don't like. And for sometimes it's going to be because of their color, because that's how your thoughts have been trained. But other times it's going to be because it's your ex-boyfriend, ex-husband's new wife, right? And that's where you have to learn, like, can I feel love for her? Right? That's when we're really, and I'm totally like, I think I don't know if my church would let me, but I'm like, I'm gonna see if they're gonna let me teach them how to love, because I think the church is missing it. I can do that. So awesome, you guys. Today was so amazing. I loved it so much. Thank you, Molly, for volunteering. Thank you.
This was so good. I'm so grateful. This is like amazing, golden. Like, I'm going to watch this for the rest of my life. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, you guys. I love that we got to go this deep. So pop your stuff in the group. We are going to keep coaching through tomorrow. And I want to, right, like we can coach like this on the group thread, not the thread, but post your own, and we will go into it. The only thing stopping you, it's not just a thought, right? It's a thought that's so much deeper than that. And we can coach on it in there. Great, guys. Be on the lookout if you want to keep doing this work on a deeper level. The group is coming together. We've already got a few ladies in. We've got room for a few more. And it's going to be starting the 1st of the month. And for the people who join sooner, they are getting bonus one-on-one sessions with me so that I know them and their business so deeply before we start the call. So I'll send out those details to you sometime today, and pop in the group. Be sure to do your work, and we will keep doing the coaching on it. Have a great day, ladies.